Hello, everyone. My name is Emma, and I'm here to help you learn English through stories that are simple, fun, and easy to follow. In today's story, we're diving into an ordinary day at the office that turned into something quite unexpected. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation where a small problem suddenly feels like a big disaster? Maybe your phone battery died when you needed it most, or you couldn't find your car keys when you were already late. These little moments of chaos can actually teach us a lot about problem solving, and that's exactly what this story is all about. In my office, the coffee machine is like a hero. It keeps everyone awake, happy, and ready to work. But one day, everything changed. The coffee machine broke, and it felt like the entire office came to a standstill. People were grumpy, sleepy, and even a little angry. It was a disaster in the making. But wait, there's more to the story. What if I told you that this small problem brought out some big lessons? What if I told you that teamwork, creativity, and even a little laughter saved the day? That's what we'll explore in this story. As we go through this funny and realistic tale, you'll learn useful English words and phrases like fix, technician, and what do we do now? You'll also hear about how a simple misunderstanding led to a surprising twist. So, are you ready? Let's begin the story of the coffee machine drama. It was a typical Tuesday morning, and the office was just beginning to wake up. The soft hum of computers starting up, the shuffling of papers, and the quiet murmurs of early conversations created a familiar rhythm. For most of my colleagues, the day didn't officially start until they had their first cup of coffee. I arrived at the office a little early that day. I enjoy those quiet moments before the rush, where I can plan my day while sipping a steaming cup of coffee. As always, I walked straight to the coffee machine, looking forward to my morning pick-me-up. The coffee corner was already busy. James, our manager, was standing there, chatting with Lily from marketing. Lily, as usual, was sharing her weekend stories with her cheerful smile. A few other colleagues were waiting in line, some scrolling through their phones while others looked a little impatient. "Good morning, everyone." I greeted them with a smile. "Busy morning at the coffee machine?" James laughed. "It's like this every day, Emma. The coffee machine is the heart of this office." I chuckled and joined the line. As I waited, I thought about how the coffee machine had become such an essential part of our routine. It wasn't just about the coffee. It was where people caught up, exchanged ideas, and shared a laugh before diving into work. But something felt off. The usually cheerful buzz at the coffee corner seemed different. Instead of the comforting sound of coffee being brewed, there was silence. Lily frowned as she pressed the buttons on the machine repeatedly. "What's wrong?" I asked, stepping closer. Lily sighed. "It's not working. No coffee today, it seems." Everyone groaned in unison. For a moment, it was as if the entire office had lost its energy. No coffee? How would anyone survive the day? James, always quick to take charge, said, "Don't worry, everyone. I'll handle it." He rolled up his sleeves like a hero ready for action. Little did we know, this was just the beginning of a very unexpected day. James stood in front of the coffee machine, his brow furrowed like a detective solving a mystery. He pressed a few buttons and even gave the machine a gentle tap. Nothing happened. The screen remained blank, and no comforting aroma of coffee filled the air. "It's completely dead," James finally declared, stepping back. The office broke into murmurs. Some people looked genuinely worried, while others joked to lighten the mood. "No coffee means no work," someone said, and a wave of laughter followed, though it was more nervous than genuine. "Maybe it just needs to be restarted," Lily suggested. "You know, like a computer." James nodded. Good idea. He unplugged the machine, waited a few seconds, and plugged it back in. Everyone held their breath, hoping for a miracle. But the machine stayed lifeless. By now, the news had spread across the office. People were gathering around, and the coffee corner was becoming more crowded by the minute. Some tried to find solutions, while others just looked disappointed. Maybe it's a power issue, said Ben from IT. Let me check the plug. He crouched down to inspect it, but found no problems. It's not the power. Looks like something inside is broken. What do we do now? Asked Sarah, who had just joined the group. She looked genuinely distressed. I can't start my day without coffee. Let's call the technician, James decided. He grabbed his phone and called the company that maintained the machine. The technician promised to arrive in an hour, but that still felt like an eternity. Meanwhile, the atmosphere in the office began to change. People were sluggish and less talkative. Emails were sent out slower, and meetings started late. Even the cheerful Lily seemed quieter than usual. I can't believe how much we rely on this thing, I said to Ben, who was standing next to me. Yeah, he replied with a wry smile. It's like the coffee machine is the real boss of this office. As we waited for the technician, James decided to cheer everyone up. All right, team, he said loudly. We'll survive this. Let's see who can come up with the best coffee alternative. This sparked some creativity. People suggested everything from tea to energy drinks, while others joked about chewing coffee beans directly. It brought some smiles back, but it was clear that everyone was just holding on until the machine was fixed. What no one knew was that the real twist was still ahead. The office settled into a strange rhythm of caffeine withdrawal and quiet conversations as we waited for the technician. Some people tried tea, while others just sat at their desks, staring blankly at their screens. It was as if the lack of coffee had drained the entire office of its energy. Then came the twist. Just as the technician arrived and began inspecting the coffee machine, Sarah walked into the room carrying a large bag. Her face was lit up with excitement, and she called out, "Everyone, gather around. I think I have a solution." Curious, we all moved closer to see what she had brought. Sarah reached into the bag and pulled out an old French press and a packet of ground coffee. Where did you get this? Lily asked, her eyes widening. It was sitting in one of the office storage cupboards, Sarah explained with a grin. I remembered seeing it months ago and thought, why not check if it's still there? The room buzzed with excitement as Sarah set up the French press on a nearby table. Ben quickly offered to boil water using the office kettle, and within minutes, the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee began to fill the air. But then, just as everyone was starting to smile again, the technician made an announcement. This machine isn't broken, he said, looking at us with a mix of amusement and disbelief. What do you mean? James asked, confused. The technician pointed to a small switch on the side of the machine. Someone accidentally flipped the power-saving mode. The machine wasn't broken, it was just in standby. A stunned silence filled the room before bursting into laughter. You're kidding, Lily exclaimed, holding her stomach as she laughed. James shook his head in disbelief. So, all of this chaos, because of one tiny switch? Yes, the technician confirmed with a chuckle. As we laughed, someone joked, well, I guess we don't need that French press anymore. But Sarah, who had been the unexpected hero of the day, held her ground. Actually, she said, pouring herself a cup, this tastes better than the machine coffee. Maybe we should use this more often. The room erupted into a debate about which coffee was better, with people laughing and sharing cups of both. What started as a problem had turned into a bonding moment for the entire office. But as I stood there, sipping my coffee, I couldn't help but wonder, if the coffee machine hadn't broken, would we have ever come together like this? Little did we know, the day's drama wasn't quite over yet. After the technician left, we all went back to our desks, still chuckling over the coffee machine drama. Sarah's French press became the star of the day, and everyone agreed that it had brought a new kind of charm to the office coffee culture. As I sat back at my desk, sipping my cup of coffee, I couldn't help but notice how much more relaxed the office felt. People were chatting, laughing, and even sharing stories about the mishap. It was as if the coffee machine disaster had brought everyone together in a way that we didn't expect. James, who had been the most serious about fixing the machine, walked over to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know," he said, "this whole situation made me realize something." I looked up at him, curious. "What do you mean?" He smiled. "We got so caught up in the idea that we needed the machine to function, we forgot that sometimes it's the little things that can save the day. Like Sarah's idea to bring out the French press. We didn't need to rely on the fancy machine to solve the problem." I nodded in agreement. It's funny how something as simple as a French press can make all the difference. It's almost like the old ways are sometimes better than the new, more complicated things. James leaned in, lowering his voice slightly. Exactly. The solution was right in front of us the whole time, but we were so focused on fixing the machine, we didn't see it. And look at the result. Everyone's in a much better mood, and the office feels more connected. Maybe we need to remember that in the future, especially when things go wrong. His words made me think. Sometimes, when problems arise, we tend to look for complicated solutions. We get lost in the details, thinking we need the latest technology or the best tools to fix things. But often, the simplest answer is the best one. As the day went on, people began to return to their regular tasks. The office was still buzzing, but now it felt lighter. There was more laughter, more conversation, and less pressure to fix things quickly. The French press had not only brought us coffee, but also an important lesson. Sometimes, the simplest things can make the biggest difference. The coffee machine still sat there, unplugged, looking harmless. But in a way, it didn't matter anymore. We had found a new rhythm, and it didn't rely on the machine at all. As the workday came to a close, I couldn't help but smile. What started as a small, frustrating problem had turned into something much bigger, a lesson in patience, creativity, and the power of simple solutions. The coffee machine drama had shown us that when things don't go as planned, it's okay to step back and look at the situation with fresh eyes. Everyone seemed to have learned something from the experience. Some of us realized that we could enjoy the day without relying on the fancy coffee machine. Others discovered that teamwork and thinking outside the box could turn a negative situation into a positive one. And most importantly, we learned that sometimes the simplest solutions, like Sarah's French press, are the best. That evening, as I packed up to leave the office, I noticed a small group of colleagues gathered around the coffee corner, still laughing and chatting. The French press had become a new tradition. It was a reminder that no matter how big or small the problem, there's always a way to solve it, and often, the solution is simpler than we think. I felt a sense of pride as I thought about how our office had come together that day. The coffee machine wasn't the hero, it was the people who found a way to make the best of a tough situation. In the end, it wasn't about the coffee at all. It was about how we worked together and supported each other, no matter how silly the problem seemed. As I left the office that evening, I thought about how we can apply this lesson in our daily lives. When something goes wrong, whether it's at work or at home, we don't always need to search for complicated solutions. Sometimes, all it takes is a little creativity and the willingness to try something different. And as for the coffee machine, well, it was eventually fixed, but by then, we had all discovered that the true magic wasn't in the machine, it was in the way we responded to the challenge.